I'm in charge, and if you don't like it, you can pack your and you can go home.
He won't let anyone stand in the way of success.
I don't need to work with somebody like you.
Then get out!
Marcus Lemonis takes charge July 30th. The Prophet on the all-new CNBC Prime.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to On the Money. I'm Maria Bartiromo. One of America's biggest and most well-known hedge funds indicted on criminal charges of insider trading. What will that mean to the markets and your money? Plus, the architect of Obamacare. My conversation with Zeke Emanuel. Will the plan work? Will it save you money? And what impact will it have on American business? And then the cronut craze. Why are people waiting for hours for this tasty treat? The chef behind the cronut and what's to stop it from getting stale. On the Money begins right now.
This is America's #1 financial news program, On the Money. Now, Maria Bartiromo.
Here's a look at what's making news as we head into a new week on the money. One of America's largest, most profitable, and best-known hedge funds is facing criminal charges. The federal government says employees of SAC Capital are guilty of insider trading.
SAC became, over time, a veritable magnet for market cheaters. The SAC companies operated a compliance system that appeared to talk the talk, but almost never walk the walk.
The fund pleaded not guilty in court on Friday and is run by billionaire Stephen A. Cohen, who is not named in the criminal indictment. In a statement, the company said it never encouraged, promoted, or tolerated insider trading and takes its compliance and management obligations seriously. The charges did not have much effect on the markets. The S&P 500 hitting a new high during the week, though it was a choppy week overall. A big week for earnings, though. Amazon missed expectations, but Netflix came in ahead, as did Apple and Facebook. Facebook stock, by the way, soared after that big beat, 30% in a day. Among industrials, Ford and GM both beat expectations, as did Boeing and 3M. Caterpillar, though, missed big time. Sales of new single-family homes hitting a 5-year high in the month of June. That's up 8.3% and above analysts' expectations. The third straight month of gains in new home sales. There was concern, though, that rising interest rates would slow down home purchases. A massive hedge fund indicted, earnings season in full gear, and the market's hitting new highs. A busy week. What does it all mean, and how does it affect your investments? Joining me right now is Burton Malkiel. He is author of the Investing Guide, A Random Walk Down Wall Street. Princeton University professor and member of the investment committee of Rebalance IRA. Bert, good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. It has been a busy week, hasn't it? We saw the federal insider trading charges against that huge hedge fund, SAC Capital. Do you think that has any impact on the retail investor?
Oh, I think it certainly does. I think people get scared that the insiders have a real advantage over the public. And I think it drives people away from the market.
I mean, I guess it does shake confidence. And once again, people feel like the game is not a playing field, an even playing field.
I think that's right. And therefore, I think the SEC coming down very hard on this. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but the fact that this is in the sights of the SEC and they're going to try to make this as fair as possible is probably a good thing, not a bad thing.
They probably certainly have been working on this a long time.
You bet.
Let me ask you about this upcoming week. The Federal Reserve is meeting once again. We've got job numbers coming out. The second quarter GDP, typically a market mover. What are you expecting from all of the events in the week ahead?
Well, there's no question that things have slowed down. And we're definitely in a pause. But actually, I'm rather optimistic. I think that what is happening is we're getting the results of the sequester. We're basically getting the budget deficit is still big, but it's coming down, and it's the change that matters. The private economy is actually doing rather well. It's the government sector that's providing the drag on the economy. I think that drag is going to be somewhat less in the quarters ahead, and I'm expecting a better second half and a better 2014.
You are. And how would you characterize earnings so far? I mean, earnings, I think, are coming in better than expected, but revenue is really not growing very much.
Absolutely. Revenues are not growing much, but that's a part of GDP growing very, very slowly. I think as GDP starts growing faster, now I don't think it's going to go crazy, but instead of being 1%, 1.5%, I think we're going to see a number that starts with 3 in 2014. And I think that's going to help on the revenue front.
And in terms of investing today, you've seen a huge outflow of money coming out of bond funds. What would be an appropriate way to look at one's retirement, look at your IRA in terms of allocating bonds versus stocks?
Well, I'm actually rather worried about the bond market. I think people should remember history. The last time U.S. government bond yields were as low as they are today was at the end of World War II, because we pegged interest rates very low to finance the large government deficit. Rates stayed low into the early 1950s and then started rising steadily till 1980. As those interest rates rose, bond prices fell, bonds became very, very volatile, and those who don't remember history, I think, are doomed to repeat it. We're in the same situation now. We're financing our large debt with what's called financial repression, keeping interest rates very, very low. As interest rates normalize, this is not going to be a good place for the bond investor.
Tell me what you're trying to do from your new position on the board of Rebalance IRA.
Well, basically, the problem is this. You've got a number of financial advisors who are putting portfolios together for people, and there are two problems with many of them. First of all, they tend to be conflicted. They will want to put things in your portfolio where they get a commission. And secondly, they might charge you 1, 2, or 3% a year to look over your portfolio. With Rebalance IRA and with Wealthfront, which is another company that I'm associated with that does the same thing, we charge a very low overall fee that might be 0.25% or even 1/3 of 1%. And we use my favorite funds, index funds, which charge rock bottom expenses.
Like ETFs.
Like ETFs that charge almost nothing to get into a broad-based equity market.
Do you think the average American is saving enough for retirement?
Absolutely not. I think this is one of the crises that we have in this country. The average size of an IRA is somewhere just over $50,000. We need much more. We really need to have a campaign to get Americans to save more.
Bert, good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bert and Malkiel joining us. Up next, on the money and on your health, key components of Obamacare come online this fall. Are you and your doctors ready for it? One of the administration's key healthcare architects, Dr. Zeke Emanuel, will join me next. And later, it's a treat worth waiting hours for. The cronut has captured New Yorkers' hearts and their wallets. We will learn about the magic behind the mania as we take a break. Take a look at how the stock market finished the week. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Are we ready for the Obamacare rollout? Implementation of the Affordable Care Act approaching a critical stage this fall when the health insurance exchanges begin. The insurance coverage mandate for employers of small companies has been postponed, giving the implementation of the Affordable Care Act an uncertain diagnosis. Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel is the former White House advisor on healthcare policy and is vice provost for global initiatives at the University of Pennsylvania. Zeke, it's great to have you on the program.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let me ask you about the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. It's when the health insurance exchanges go online October 1st.
Right.
Some talk that the computer systems being developed for the exchanges may not be ready. These are supposed to be state-run, and 34 states kicked it back to the federal level for either help or to run it totally. What's the status? Are we ready?
We're going to know on October 1st. Every state I know and the federal government are working really hard to get this up and running. So I like to say two things. There's probably going to be glitches. Even the president has said that there are going to be some glitches. But those are software things that by year 2, 2015, year 3, 2016 are going to be ironed out. And it's going to be like shopping on Amazon. If you want to see what it's like, go to the Massachusetts connector, which has been up for years. And it really is like shopping on Amazon. The more important thing, in my opinion, is what are the choices people are going to have and what are the prices? And there, I think, all we've had is good news. 11 states have now reported what their premiums are going to be. And the big ones, California, New York, have reported remarkable savings.
So walk us through the consumer experience come October 1st.
So you go online to your state exchange, you find it, and then you put in your zip code, and you're going to find out what the offerings of insurance policies are. There are going to be 4 levels increasing richness, that is, more benefits, lower copays and deductibles. And then you will go, and for 60 or 70% of Americans, they shop on price, so they're going to go to the bottom ones, the silver and bronze, they're called. And then they'll look and find one they like. They'll find out what their subsidy level is based upon their income, and then they'll see what the price is. And you have to buy the first month, but you'll see what your monthly premium is. Now, for most Americans, the majority of Americans, they will have a subsidized premium that is going to bring the price down. And I think this is going to, first of all, it's going to be a lot more competition. You're going to decide what you want, not your employer. And you're going to decide what the price point is, how much those benefits are worth to you. And I think it's going to be a pleasant surprise to people what they can get and how much they can get.
Is this going to be a hard sell for, to those young, healthy people who typically need less medical care than older citizens?
Well, given what the rates are that have been published already, I think young, healthy people are going to actually find it quite desirable. If you could buy insurance for $34 a month, are you going to stay out? That would be crazy.
Right.
Even if you have to pay $170 a month, that's a pretty good deal.
The employer mandate, why was that pushed out?
2 things. It is confusing because it applies to full-time employees, and who's a full-time employee over 30 hours. And, at a university, I work at the University of Pennsylvania, is someone who teaches in the first semester but is not teaching in the second semester. Are they a full-time employee or not? And so it became confusing. The second thing is it's not critical to the success of the bill. And here's why. If you're an employer with less than 50 employees, employer mandate doesn't apply to you anyway. That's more than 95% of all employers in America have less than 50 employees. So most of the employers, it doesn't apply. The big employers, more than 51 and more employees, they already provide insurance at the rates of 96, 97%. And once you get to 200, they're at like 98, 99%. We're talking about 12,000 employers in the whole country who are affected by this.
But do you worry that businesses are saying that this is too big of a cost for them and they're just going to opt not to provide insurance for people?
Again, the big insurers, the big employers, they already provide insurance, and there's no law mandating it. So they're already doing it. Why are they doing it, right? Competent people like you go to an employer, you're expecting insurance. You don't have insurance, you're really not interested. Smaller employers, some of them do and some of them don't. It's about 50-50 depending upon size. And, the ones who are smaller, they're probably not going to do it and there's no penalty. And the ones who already do it to attract better workers and are probably going to continue.
Well, we all know that the U.S. spends so much money on health care.
Yeah.
More than $2 trillion a year.
$2.8 trillion. Bigger than the economy of France.
Right, and so much more than economy is most other countries.
Right.
So where is the rollout of reform in terms of bending that cost curve? How do we get costs down? It's predicted that medical inflation will decline in 2014?
So we have already seen, actually, over the last 5 or 6 years, a decline in medical inflation. That's the first thing. So we're already getting some bending. Second, there are many things in the Affordable Care Act that are beginning to bend the curve. The policy on penalizing hospitals that have too many readmissions within 30 days of hospital discharge, getting hospitals to focus better on keeping people healthy, getting rid of hospital-acquired infections. The next big move, in my opinion, the thing that is sort of undone and still really needs to be done, is big payment reform. Moving off the fee-for-service system. You pay a doctor a fee for everything they do. You pay a hospital a fee for everything they do. They have an incentive to do more.
Right.
Quantity over quality. We need to change that incentive. And that's, I think, the next big thing.
Now, some people say that the weakened economy is really accounting for a drop in the rate of growth because people were opting out of costly care.
Right. That's probably true for some of it, but not all of it. Most of the data suggests that this drop in healthcare inflation predated 2008 and predated the drop in the recession. And there was a little blip in 2011 in terms of an uptick in inflation, and people thought people were getting things, healthcare services they postponed. but it does look like this slowdown is actually real. And I think that there are other things being put into place that are going to, that are keeping hospitals and doctors looking to save money. We still have some unfinished business, and I think that's extremely important to actually attend to, changing how we pay doctors mainly.
Zeke, good to have you on the program.
It's great to be here,
Thank
and
you so much.
thanks for the session.
Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel joining us. Up next on The Money, the king of cronuts, Chef Dominique Ansel is here. He'll tell us the recipe for small business success, and he's serving up a new dessert that's sure to keep you cool this summer. And look for us on Facebook/Maria Bartiromo. Back in a moment. Welcome back. There is no sugarcoating it. The cronut is the hottest food item in New York. The combination of a croissant and donut has people lining up for hours for the privilege of shelling out $5 for each one, and many leaving empty-handed. I'm here with the chef behind the cronut right now, Dominique Ansel. He is the former executive pastry chef at Restaurant Daniel under celebrity chef Daniel Boulud before opening his own bakery in Soho. Chef Dominique, good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much
here.
for joining us. So what have you been doing there?
So this is our summer treat. It's called the Frozen S'mores. It's marshmallow, special marshmallow ice cream that developed for the summer, and actually has a specific recipe that we can freeze. Inside there's vanilla ice cream that is coated with chocolate wafer.
There's ice cream inside.
So you can see there's ice cream is coated with chocolate wafer.
Oh my goodness! And you just fired it up.
We torch it to order, and we put them on a branch that's been smoked with apple wood.
That is heaven. That looks unbelievable. And
Thank
with
you.
the ice cream, I'm sure. Oh my goodness! But I want to talk to you about the cronut here. You came up with this idea of the cronut. You've become famous for the dessert that you created. It's half croissant and half donut, or it's a special dough?
It's a special dough. We describe it as half croissant because the texture and the dough is really similar to a croissant dough. It's something we launched at the beginning of May, and we change the flavor every month.
Oh, okay.
So
and
this
why
is
do you think it's become so popular? I mean, you've got people lining up for hours for this.
Yeah, I think people really like it. It's something different, unusual, and everyone knows what the donut is, and everyone knows what a croissant is, and putting them together makes something special.
And you're increasing demand?
Well, we've increased the production since the beginning, but it's very important for me that the creation doesn't kill the creativity. At the bakery, I keep myself busy, and I really enjoy creating new things. And our shop is not all about cronut, but there's also a lot of beautiful pastries like this one.
I'm going to get to these in a moment, but I mean, I remember years ago the cupcake all of a sudden became hot. How does this happen that, one pastry becomes hot? And how do you make sure it doesn't just become a passing trend?
That was really unexpected for us. It went viral overnight. And I was very surprised after a couple of days to see hundreds of people lining up for the cronut.
Amazing. You're constantly creating new desserts. Tell us about each one that you brought. These are also some lovely things from your bakery.
So right here on top we have the cannelé de Bordeaux. It's a specialty from Bordeaux in France. It's this very tender, like crepe batter. The outside shell is caramelized and it's baked in copper mold. This is actually our signature, our bestseller, and probably my favorite. It's called the DKA. It stands for Dominique's Quignaman. It's a specialty from Brittany in France. And my take on it, it's a much lighter version than the traditional one. There's a lot less butter, a lot less sugar.
It looks phenomenal.
And right here on the bottom, we have the Paris New York. So it's a take on a Paris Brest, which is a French classic. This is a ring of cream puff. Inside there's caramel, peanut butter, and chocolate, just to remind of the Snickers bar.
Amazing. So you studied and worked under Chef Daniel Boulud until you opened your own. How did you get the resources to open your own bakery?
That's right. So I worked for Daniel for about 6 years. And then after those beautiful years, I decided on moving on and opening my own bakery.
Good for you. Good for you. Was it tough to start your own business?
It is not easy. It is a lot different from being a pastry chef to being a business owner.
Sure. And was it easy to get the funds needed?
I had some savings, and I started on my own.
Good for you. Congratulations. You've trademarked the cronut, is that right?
That's right.
Tell me about that.
So we trademarked the cronut just to make sure we can keep doing it and we can keep our creation at the bakery.
Congratulations, it looks delicious, and we so appreciate you bringing everything. Chef Dominique Ansel for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the news this upcoming week that will have an impact on your money. And then being rich isn't what it used to be. What's your magic number when it comes to financial security? For more on our show and our guests, check out the website, otm.cnbc.com. And I hope you'll follow me on Twitter and on Google+. Look for @Maria Bartiromo. First, take a look at the stories coming up in the week ahead that may move the markets and impact your money this upcoming week. It's another heavy week of earnings out with Dow Components, Merck, Pfizer, ExxonMobil, and Procter & Gamble, all reporting their second quarter results. MasterCard, Sprint, Nextel, and AIG will also release quarterly numbers. On Tuesday, the Federal Reserve's Open Market Committee will convene for a two-day meeting on monetary policy. On Wednesday, the gross domestic product for the second quarter is due, typically a market mover. And then on Thursday, automakers will report sales for the month of July. And then on Friday, the markets will be watching for the jobs report, the big number of the week. That may very well set the tone for the markets. Finally today, are you rich? A recent survey of investors by UBS asked, what is wealthy? And found that in these uncertain times, 60% of respondents with balance sheets greater than $5 million consider themselves wealthy. Of those worth $1 to $5 million, just 28% said they felt rich. It's all how you look at it, I guess. That'll do it for us for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Next week, a rare look at supporting a future generation of innovators. I'll talk to the parents of Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, about kids and big ideas. Each week, keep it right here where we are on The Money. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you again next weekend.